Welcome to the Banana Republic of America, everyone, where elections are rigged, the regime persecutes and prosecutes their political enemies, spies on its citizens, and attacks free speech. Yep, this is what it has come to, people. I've been saying for a while that this country's jumped the shark, and every few months we get further and further evidence of that. So, what happened yesterday with Donald Trump was unprecedented, pissed off a lot of people, and made a lot of people very sad. Unprecedented things happening over the last several years. So I guess the indictment's sealed, so we really don't know what the alleged uh, crimes are. I was watching bunch of stuff yesterday when this was all going down, and saw one of the talking head attorneys talking about how the indictment for this is sealed, and he said that that's usually reserved for people who are a flight risk, fugitives. Well, everyone, good morning, and it's what is today? Friday, March 31st. Just waking up here. Thought I'd throw out a video talking about the big news of the week and the indictment of Donald J. Trump, the leader of the extreme right wing white supremacists. And in the ranks of those white supremacists are huge numbers of non whites. But these are known as the black face of white supremacy, like Larry Elder. Or, I don't know what they call the innumerable people that are supporting Donald J. Trump that are what they like to call brown, Hispanics, Latinos, uh, or if you're a woke jackass, it's Latinx. I'm not sure if that's Latinx or Latinx. Either way, from what I've heard, none of the Hispanic people like to be referred to as Latinx or Latinx. It's just another made up bullshit term by the left wing radicals who apparently are calling most of the shots in this country, as is evidenced by the rapid decline ever since the potato was installed. So now we have a tiered justice system. So if you belong to the ruling class or serve as part of their foot soldiers, there's a justice system for those folks and a separate one for the likes of people who have what are thought crimes, right? So the Summer of Love in 2020, we saw Antifa and burn, loot, murder do just that. Burning down cities, looting, murdering people, wreaking all kinds of havoc, attacking government buildings, destroying small businesses. And for the most part, those people walk free. If they were arrested, they're immediately released. If there were any charges, they were insignificant and served little to no time. And then you have another riot occurring that the commies in this country refer to as an insurrection. Some of them, like Schumer and a couple other of those perverted Democrat politicians, try to tell you that Donald J. Trump caused an erection. I think the only erection that Donald J. Trump caused was in Lindsey Graham's pants. But there you have it. No more rule of law in this country. You know, when one set of laws and criminal procedures and one justice system applies to one group and another for another group, that's not the rule of law. That's just, I mean, you might as well go back to medieval days where the lord of the manor or the king basically set the rules just uh, however they felt. You know, justice was just whatever they said it was. So all this stuff that's going down now is just Obama bin Laden's uh, third term, basically. Is that socialist, America hating, whatever you want to call him? I can think of one choice word that would definitely get this video banned and probably get me kicked off of this platform, which is YouTube. I'll probably have to start posting again on Rumble. Because we know that places like YouTube and Facebook and even Twitter, what's going up with that? We saw Twitter banning people this week for discussing a current event. So, like I said before, folks, Elon Musk is not any going to be any savior of social media. You know, he's done some good stuff, but don't get your hopes up too high with that one. Elon Musk is for Elon Musk, from what I could tell. But anyways, back to Barack Hussein Obama bin Laden laying the groundwork for what we see today. He had 8 years, and I try to tell people that I know that voted for him back then, don't vote for this guy. He's got the most extreme socialist ideology of anybody that ever ran for president. And some of these people that I talk to telling them I don't like Barack Hussein Obama bin Laden, they called me a racist. Oh, you don't like him because he's black. I should have told those people to F off and take a long walk off a short pier. But I was civil and I just tried to explain to those idiots that I don't like his policies. I mean, first thing he did when he got into office was go on an apology tour. You could see clip after clip of him telling, in other countries, which he continues to this day, and I'll get to that in a moment, but he go around an apology tour. He went over to Saudi Arabia and kissed their ass, and speech after speech going around in this country and across the globe how, oh, America's this, that, and the other thing, how we're evil and did a bad thing and have a checkered past and blah, 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 blah. Some of that may be true, but as the president, you don't go out and bash the U.S. to any other country. I mean, look at what he did with the IRS, weaponize the IRS to go after Tea Partiers. And I still believe he's pulling the strings. If not, it's he's part of I think there's probably a group of people pulling a lot of strings behind the scenes these days. We know George Soros is part of that group, funding this scumbag district attorney in New York. This guy, these are charges. I mean, we don't know what the charges are, but if they're related to the alleged payoff, which from what I heard, it looked like that scumbag, jailbird, lion sack of crap, what's his name? Cohen. I heard that he paid Horseface with his own money. And then you had Horseface stating in written documents that there was no affair between her and Trump. So, did Donald Trump bang that chick? I don't know, and I don't care. That's between Donald Trump, the porn star, and Donald Trump's wife and children. mainly the one child. You know, all these people up in arms. Oh, Donald Trump banged a porn star. Those same people had no. I don't know this for a fact, but it seems like an awful lot of those same people, they didn't have much to say, and they don't really care when Slick Willie was getting the slob of the knob by an intern in the Oval Office. Ah, rules for thee, but not for me. Whoa, hot coffee, look out. So basically, we're in Barack Hussein Obama bin Laden's third term, and we're seeing the completion of his goal, which was basically, I think these were his words, fundamentally changing the United States of America. You don't fundamentally change something that you love. So we know that he never loved this country. It was blatantly obvious by his actions. And same goes for his trans testicle wife, whatever the hell that thing is. She come out there and say, this is the first time in my adult life that I've been proud of my country. I mean, if you hate the place so much, why don't you get the hell out of it? If I hated this country, which I'm you know, I live in California. I can't stand it, but because of my situation, I can't leave yet. But the road that this state and this country's going down, I may be leaving sooner than what I thought. But let me get back to what we got going on with this indictment of Donald J. Trump and these other bogus investigations down there in Georgia, and with the document stuff. I mean, right there with the document thing, I was reading something that forget where this was. They were saying basically what they're doing with these document things is, because the presidents and former presidents, they have the right to declassify, and that means they'd be allowed to have these documents. They're basically sweeping that long-standing, I don't know, principle, tradition, whatever. Get rid of that because of Trump. But then they went and created a new one for the VP, which would have been Potato Head Joe, because he's got all those documents at multiple locations. Those appear to be documents from when he was vice president, and his family was getting multi-million-dollar transfers from Chinese companies, which if you have a Chinese company, it's, basically controlled by the CCP. So you have this guy getting huge transfers of money into his scumbag crime family's bank accounts from the CCP, the number one existential threat to this country. Now, some may argue that they weren't the number one existential threat to the country at the time that happened, but it is now. And you don't think that buku boatloads of cash to the Biden crime family from the CCP is worrisome, then you're a fool or a jackass. So we got what's going on over here with that, right? Nothing. A-okay, I mean, we all know that the scumbags in Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate, that's how these lobbyists get so much influence. They donate buku bucks, and then when it comes time for legislation, the lobbyists write the legislation, and the scumbag politicians put their name on it. If you saw Jesse Waters the other day talking about this this proposed bill called the Restrict Bill, which is supposedly gonna ban TikTok. Hey, I'm all for giving TikTok the old heave ho, because It's being used to spy on this country, the people of this country, data mining, but it's also using that platform, the videos, to basically corrupt our society further than it's already been corrupted, and to shape the minds of our youth. I mean, China, their version of TikTok, vastly different than what we have here in this country. So they know that TikTok is corrosive to a society, and they don't want it happening to their society. They want to control their society, and that's what exactly what uh, this ruling class in this country wants to do: control society. So if you don't think all this stuff that's going on with the open border, flooding our country with millions upon millions, unheard of numbers month after month of illegal aliens. Yes, I said it. Illegal aliens. That's what they are. They're aliens. They entered this country ill fucking legally. I mean, I don't blame them. They're going to come here and get free this and free that, all at my expense and yours. And you got this illegitimate administration denying reality, just like they deny reality about the whole tranny situation we got going on. That's another thing. Don't you think that this indictment, from what I heard, the grand jury was going to take a recess for a month, and then the same week we have a mentally ill person that identifies as a tranny go in and commit a hate crime and an act of terrorism attacking a Christian church because these victims look like me and we're Christian. They're going to sweep the whole hate crime, act of terrorism under the rug. And then you have the disgusting, mentally ill scumbags like Whoopi Goldberg and that other broad. I think she's Italian. It's a disgrace to Italian Americans. I can't even remember. Joy. That's an ironic name. Behar, an alleged comedian. Their takes on that whole transgender person who went out. I mean, you got all kinds of media people out here. This person's a freaking murderer. I mean, by definition, some people are saying if you go into an elementary school and kill 6 people, 3 of which were what, 9-year-old children, by definition, you're mentally ill. What is mentally ill? You know, you probably have a legal definition. You have what would you call a clinical definition that a psychologist, psychiatrist would have a definition for mental illness. But colloquially, if you do a disgusting, heinous act like that, you ain't right in the head. And I think there is such a thing as transgenderism. And I do think that sex and gender aren't the same thing. But if you want to know the relationship between sex and gender identity, go look up Brent Weinstein, his Dark Horse podcast, and he explains it quite well. But the two are heavily correlated. A person's sex is very determinative, not 100% in 100% of situations, but very determinative of what their gender is. You know, but you have the leftist promoting and worshiping people with mental health. And this whole lack of, there's a lot of mental health issues going on in this country, and a lot of that stems from the breakdown of the family and the loss of religiosity. That's a topic I'm going to cover in a separate video. I'm going to talk about a few books I recently finished that cover a lot of this stuff going in society, the decline of society, and what some of those symptoms are and potential reasons for it, and the breakdown of our society and how that leads to you know what we see going on today. But I'll get into that in a separate video. Look for that pretty soon here. Um, but when you have a declining society and the family and religiosity breaking down, you have loss of meaning, you have loss of uh, relationships. That's going to lead to stuff like this woke insanity we got going on. But let's get back to this weaponization of the Department of Justice. We got the FBI, and you got that scumbag Merrick Garland. That guy he's like you ever see him up there talking? He like a little weaselly little, ugh, he disgusts me. I mean, there's so many members of this administration that just they're repulsive human beings. They have no redeeming qualities. They're morally bankrupt, and they're all captured by this woke ideology, which is based on complete lies and falsehood and distortions of it. It's like Dave Rubin says, the left is at war with reality. I mean, who disgusts you more? Let me know down in the comments. Who in this administration do you find to be the most heinous human being? And I use the term human being loosely when it comes to these scumbags. You know, obviously, you got the potato head at the top there. He's always been dumb as a, what is the term? Dumb as a doorknob? Dumb as a doorknob, I believe. But now he's senile. You see that video of him walking down the red carpet? I believe it was in Poland with the leader of Poland reviewing the troops. He's so clueless. He walking, I mean, you got the red carpet there, what, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet wide. He's walking side by side with the Polish and this shows you my ignorance. But hey, when I don't know something, I'm willing to admit it. I'm ignorant of it. I don't know what that guy is. He's I'm assuming prime minister. Most of these other countries seem to have prime ministers and not presidents. And if they have presidents, the president is more of a figurehead. They say that the president. I've heard this. Maybe this was German. Well, then they use the German terms there. But the prime minister is the head of the government, and the president is the head of state, something like this. Head of, it's a symbolic titular thing, right? So in England, the prime minister is the head of the government, but the king or the queen is the head of state. I'm not sure. England, I should say United Kingdom, because United Kingdom comprises of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. I don't want to get off on a tangent, that whole England Irish thing. Being of Irish descent, I have a certain take on that. But I'm like probably what a lot of Americans are. I'm basically a Euro mutt. I have ancestry from many parts of Europe. Western and Northern Europe for the most part. My grandfather did a bunch of genealogy stuff. This was back in the day, obviously, when I was a kid, before you had all this internet stuff. But I always grew up being told my ancestry was Scottish, Irish, German, Dutch, Italian, and Swedish. But then I went online and did some of that ancestry stuff. I found out I had ancestors from England, Wales, France, Switzerland. So I'm even more of a mutt than I thought. And then my parents did their DNA. I saw that there was also some action going on there from the Iberian Peninsula. So I pretty much got, most of Europe covered. But let's get back to what the FBI is doing here, targeting, at the uh, orders of scumbag Attorney General Merrick Garland, in cahoots with teachers' unions and left-wing Board of Education. Let's go after the concerned parents who are concerned about the education of their children. They don't want their children indoctrinated into the racist BS known as CRT. And Joy Reid, are they being taught exactly what CRT is? CRT is a legal theory. Well, it's based on racist principles, and that's what they're being taught. So, you know, you got to go after those parents because they don't want their kids learning that crackers like me are the oppressors, and anybody with dark skin is such an incompetent human being. They'll never amount to anything because my race is so superior to their race that we've oppressed them all. And that this is a racist country. And it's such a racist country that we have millions upon millions of people every year trying to get in, which this, I already talked about, this administration opened the floodgates. But even in a normal time, what countries are people trying to get into? They're trying to get into, number one, the U.S. I don't know the numbers for the others, but people from Latin America, Africa, Middle East, East Asian countries, Americans, Canadians, Europeans aren't going there to live by and large. Those people all want to get to the U.S., Canada, Australia, England, France. Why is that? Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out, people. But with this whole Trump indictment thing, I see so many people saying, oh, this is yet another sign that this administration, this is something that a weak and fearful regime does. That may be true, but so what? They're still dangerous. They're still a threat to the country. And when they do this stuff, it's no bueno. I mean, if they're willing to do all the stuff they've done so far, in my opinion, it's only a matter of time that they try to come for people's firearms. And I think that's going to be the straw that breaks a camel's back for a lot of people. And if that happens, that's when things are going to get real bad. And in the words of my good friend Larry, the blackface of white supremacy elder, likes to say, the defecation will hit the oscillation. And at that point, after all the lead up to it, it's going to hit real hard. Now, let's talk about the ramifications of this Trump indictment. How's that going to affect his popularity? Well, we already saw prior to this indictment going down that Trump's numbers in the polls, and I don't know if those polls seem to be very dubious, but what else can we go on? And I've often said in videos, most of those polls are to affect opinion, not reflect opinion. But let's set that aside and discuss them anyways, because what else do we have to go on? So just recently, Trump's poll numbers have been increasing. Now, he's been in the lead as far as the Republican primary, and the only person, I wouldn't say close, but with any, as of right now, hope of giving Donald a run for his money is Ron DeSantis. I still think my choice is between the two is Trump, because I don't like the bashing he's doing of DeSantis, and I never liked a lot of the name calling he does, and I don't like everything Trump does, but this name calling and stuff to me is childish, and it doesn't help his position. It makes him look weak. It makes him look like he's worried about DeSantis, in my opinion. you know. But the bottom line for me is I have more confidence that Trump is going to fight back against all this stuff than any other of these people would. You know, DeSantis seems to be doing a good job as governor over in Florida, but for DeSantis to run a campaign for president, he's already accepted large sums of money from various people that may or may not make him, you know, have to answer to those people's wishes. We know that we don't have that problem with Trump. Trump's got his own money. He's not relying on huge influx of cash from anybody and then be beholden to those people, you know, uh, with paybacks for whatever once they get in office with the whole you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type of scenario going on, you know. And I think Trump's first term, he didn't realize how deep and how wide the swamp is and how the establishment really worked. But he's obviously, with 4 years of experience, has a better idea of that. And I think Trump, he takes a lot of stuff personal. And I think the way he's been treated, he's probably going to want to go in there and clean house and do what he should have done in the first term. But with his inexperience and not knowing how corrupt things really were and how the DC establishment works, he couldn't get things done. I mean, he had the media, he had the Democrats, he had half the Republican Party undermining him every step of the way. And that's still going to be the same in the next term, but he's going to know how to handle that better. You know, one of the things that I'm not big on Trump is he got a track record of appointing people, hiring folks, putting people in position. He didn't vet them very well, or he got fooled because you got a lot of these people end up stabbing him in the back. I mean, his own vice president did that. And then what was that scumbag attorney general? He had more than one of them. None of them turned out to be the real deal. And the list goes on, including this Cohen guy. That's the star witness for this ridiculous indictment. You know, this guy's a track record of, well, he's a criminal and a liar. But the other thing that I'm not a big fan about Trump, and he's, you know, he's got no ground to stand on if he talks about how DeSantis handled the scamdemic, because, you know, under Trump, he basically let these big pharma companies, whoop, took, you know, hey, implement whatever you want. You're not going to have any liability. And he out there bragging about he fast tracked these experimental injections, you know. And Trump opened the door for all the shutdowns. His administration was the whole 2 weeks to slow the spread farce. Trump was bamboozled, swindled. They pulled the wool over his eyes big time in 2020. And as a result of that, they were able to do what they did with the whole election thing. So nobody's perfect. Trump's far from it. But in my opinion, he's the best option out there as far as trying to get somebody into the White House that's going to actually fight for the American people. I mean, that's the bottom line is Trump's got the best track record of fighting for the regular Joe on the street. I think DeSantis would do that too. DeSantis is young, and I know I'm not saying he shouldn't run, because in politics you got to strike while the iron's hot. DeSantis has pretty good popularity right now. He's got a track record of fighting all the woke stuff, and who knows, you know, between now and 4 years from now, what could happen? He might not have as good a chance as he does now as far as running for president. But I still stick with Trump. It doesn't really matter. In my book, you just got to support whoever the Republican nomination turns out to be. It's probably going to be Trump, but I just wish more people would be willing to support the Republican nomination, even though it's not the person of their choice. Pretty much everyone is going to say their choice is either DeSantis or Trump. All those other people, Nikki Haley, I think she's running not to try to get to be president, but she's probably trying to get a appointment to Secretary of State. Some people don't like her, say she's a bit neocon or something. And she talks a good game. She's on Rubin Report the other day. A lot of these people talk a good game, don't back it up with their actions. The other thing with this indictment is it diverting people's attention from the other issues? Because you listen to these legal analysis by various people. Now, I'm not an attorney, but I listen to some on TV. But seriously, though, you got the likes of multiple well-known, renowned legal scholars, including Mr. Dershowitz there, who is a lifelong lefty, calls himself a liberal, doesn't like Trump, doesn't support Trump, never voted for Trump, says he'll still vote for Biden, but out of the fucking same breath, he's telling you how what's going on in our country is unprecedented, unconstitutional, it's a travesty, and is a disgrace and all this stuff. And yet you're still going to vote for the party that's doing all that. I mean, hello? I don't know. That doesn't make any freaking sense. But if this whole indictment thing's not really that much of a concern, and you would think that the people pulling the strings to say go ahead and do this, because damn well the Biden administration could have contacted this Soros funded district attorney scumbag Bragg and said, hey, knock it off. But that didn't happen. So maybe this is a distraction, because now everyone's, and I don't, when people say it's a distraction, I don't really like that term, because most of the time these things are distraction. Yes, they're diverting attention away from other issues, but it's not like they're completely made up non-issues themselves, right? So the weaponization of the justice system, persecution and prosecution of political opponents, that's no laughing matter. That's a serious, unprecedented turn of events in this country. It's an attack on our Constitution and on our legal system, weaponization of the government. And if, like they say, if they could do this to a former president, they can do it to anybody. And, that's probably what's next on the menu. But is that really a distraction, a shiny object? No, it's a concern. It's a serious issue, but it does divert attention, because now no one is talking about the mental health crisis we have in this country. We had a hate crime, a terrorist act the other day, where some sick person went into a elementary school and killed people, including 3 small children, and attacked them. Why? Because of their twisted trans ideology, apparently. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. Why haven't they released this person's manifesto? I'm sure that would shed some light onto why this scumbag did what they did, but they targeted a Christian church school. And the other thing people aren't talking about now is the whole border crisis. This is taking attention away from China. So I understand when people say distraction, but folks, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We need to pay attention to all this stuff. China, the border, the fentanyl, the mental health crisis in this country manifesting itself in a variety of ways. I mean, this whole mental health crisis is just a manifestation of the decline of society. But anyways, kind of a long video going off on some tangents, but like I always say, it's all interrelated, intertwined. Trump's been indicted. Is this really going to be as serious as what a lot of people think it is? I don't think Trump's. I mean, the worrying part is he's indicted. This is New York. 80% of the people there voted against Trump. So, you know, conservative person on trial in D.C. or New York, Los Angeles, you know, good luck. So that's very concerning as well. But we'll see how this plays out. All right, everyone. You know, you got to be prepared for what's coming because we don't know what's coming and things could get real ugly. So do what you need to do to get prepared. I'm not as prepared as I should be. In fact, maybe today I'll go out and secure more of what I think I need to secure. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. And if you stuck with me all the way through this, thank you so much. Please like, share, and subscribe, all those things. Watch for my next video. Probably going to be coming out later today too, where I get into those few books that I've recently finished and talk about the decline of our society. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend.